listening to Triple BFM 89.1. It is 5:17, and I've got my last guest, but not my least guest, into the studio. I've got Charlotte Beryl in. Hi, Charlotte.
Hey, how you going?
Yeah, good. We've just been having a nice bit of fun chat off air and finding out a bit more about you.
Yep.
You're a motocross star, so we'll get to chatting about that in a minute. But you're also a singer in a band, and you don't like the name of the band that you're in?
No. We've discussed it. We're not such a fan. We're called What Happened to Sunday, and so
why don't you like the name of your
it's too
band?
long. It's a little unwieldy. We'll come up with something new, but it's very hard to find names for bands. It's incredibly difficult.
Oh.
Yeah, we haven't got any good
inspiration. So there's a lot of work to naming a band, because I love the names of bands and names of albums. They've got something catchy or engaging and memorable.
And they're inspired. And I think What Happened to Sunday is a bit lackluster, but we'll work on it.
So how did you end up with that name? What Happened to Sunday?
We actually sort of inherited it from a previous, I guess, lineup. So we're another version of the lineup.
Yeah.
So our guitarist Travis has stayed the same guitarist, and we've got new singers and
he didn't want to change the name.
No. Oh well, we talked about it. We actually can't come up with a better name. So if anybody has a better name, we'd love suggestions.
What Happened to Sunday? Yeah, it sort of doesn't make you think of a band, really, does it?
Yeah, not exactly, but so we
that's your band.
Yeah, that's our band. So we gig around the Adelaide Hills and Gawler. So yeah.
Oh, I'll remember that name now. Our listeners will probably remember that name.
Exactly right. We're going to be at the PA Hotel on the 1st of March as well. To have a bit of a sing in the afternoon if anyone wanted to come along.
Yeah, and what kind of music do you
so we do sort of covers and just easy listening type stuff. And then we also play with a full band as well. Yeah. So we do sort of like more party gigs and it's really, really good fun. I love
fantastic.
It. It's great.
Yeah, and is that your job, or you do other work as well?
No, so I have a full-time job. So I work at Adelaide Botanic High School as a STEM technician. Okay. So I support the teachers in executing the STEM classes essentially. So science and technology. Yep.
Engineering and maths.
Yes, that's the one. Yep, that's STEM.
Yeah, and that's really come into fore, hasn't it? Because I know I've had a few guests on talking about STEM in schools. Yeah,
absolutely.
And how important that is, that focus on the science.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, like, you've gone from having a separate science and maths subject to have something that's more integrated, so the students are able to make those connections across those subjects, rather than have an explicit science lesson or an explicit maths lesson, and then you can integrate it all with the engineering, and it all becomes one, and then you end up with better graduates and you end up with better employees at the end, essentially. And more critical thinking and creative thinking.
Yeah. And what age, we're sort of digressing here a bit from motocross, but you're obviously very skilled at different things. So in terms of the STEM subjects and the work that you do in schools, it's a better rounding approach for kids.
I think so.
Integrating maths and science.
Yeah, definitely, and they can make those links, I guess, between subjects, and then they're going to become essentially better graduates at the end.
Yeah. And what age does the STEM subjects start at?
Well, I actually previously worked at Blackfriars Priory School in Prospect, and I taught a lot of the STEM classes there, and I had the babies in reception, and we were doing all sorts of bits and pieces with programming.
It's brilliant to start at a really young age, because that's when kids are curious.
Yeah, and they learn the most because their brains are just sponges, and so they pick it all up, and they're able to then become like really flexible
science and maths by the time they get to high school, because they've had it all the way
because
through.
they find it something that's interesting and that they're engaged with.
Yeah.
It's really great. It's really good.
Yeah. Getting to know you in 5-10 minutes, all the things that you do in your life. It's fantastic. So we're talking about motocross, and your passion for motocross.
Yes.
Like where did that come from?
So I guess when I was a young teenager, Mum had us riding horses, and then they wouldn't go fast enough, and I got a little bit bored, and I thought that wasn't much chop, and I had a girlfriend at high school who actually had bikes, and so we'd burn up and down on her property, and I was rubbish, and then I didn't touch a motorbike until I graduated uni, and then I finished probably 4 months of full-time work and went I'm going to buy a motorbike. So I went out and I bought a CRF 150F, which is pretty much the beginner of all beginners.
Okay.
And this little thing, I bought it from like a 12-year-old boy in Uganda, and it was very embarrassing because he was upgrading. It was my first motorbike ever. Exactly. And from there, I upgraded to my Suzuki. So I went from the 150 to a Suzuki RMZ 250 in about 11 months, just because I'd sort of, I guess, learned the ropes a little bit more. Yeah, just a bit more confident, and I felt like I could handle a bit more bike. And then I went from my RMZ to, I bought a Honda in May 2018. I've never looked back, and I've had 3 Hondas now, and they're brilliant. And yeah, we are where we are now. It seems like such a short time ago that we're starting out.
What is the training and I guess the skill development to compete? Because I understand that you're competing at quite high levels now. So what has that taken over the last sort of several years to get to where you are now?
Yeah, so I guess in terms of technique and stuff like that, you go through, you know, it's like anything. You start at the very basics and you learn how to do those things and you learn how to do them well. So you've got a really strong technical skill set sitting below what you're trying to do, because it's really important to me that when I go out there, I know that I'm doing what I'm doing safely, and then it will then allow me to build capacity within that skill. So, you know, I can do it at X speed, and then if my technique's sound, then hopefully I can go a little bit faster and do it a little bit better the next time. I find that that photos and videos are just absolutely so valuable to me. So I get photographs and really critique exactly where I am on the bike, and videos and watch exactly what I'm doing. And I
you
think
would
that
remember what was happening at those
times. Exactly right. And you know, I feel like I'm blasting down the track and it doesn't look like I'm barely moving, and how frustrating. But so stuff like that has helped to build my technique. But I've done you know, clinics and bits and pieces. I've worked with Dean Ferris, who's pretty much Australia's greatest motocrosser, I think, ever. He's fantastic. He's got a really strong skill set. I've signed up to his masterclass now, and so developing those skills, that really, really helps that aspect of it, because he's training videos and stuff like that, because you can always learn whatever level you're at. That's why it's so important, motorcycling. You can ride a motorcycle at 1 kilometre an hour or 100 kilometres an hour, and you still get the same amount of enjoyment out of it. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, and tell me what it's like when you know, or you get that experience. You feel that when you're sort of handling a course, you know, a bit more skillfully, that you maximise, you know, your speed for the course that you're on. Right?
So
what's that like?
It's absolutely amazing. It's just this feeling of almost completeness. You know that you've done what you came there to do, and you know that you've executed it really well. I actually I can see some massive parallels between my singing and my motocross. So when I hit a note and it feels really good, it's like railing a berm. And you're like, that was really good. That was awesome. That felt great. And also it's really, really interesting that I found recently, because I'm really interested in like the mental side of it, and how you go about actually training your brain to be in a race day situation and make sure that you're handling it. And stay focused. And also what is really interesting is that after a period of time, your brain tends to speed up and it almost catches up to you. So you'll do things a lot faster than what you used to, but you don't feel like you're going faster because your brain's caught up. At least that's how I feel like it works for me. And then you can then progress from that point onwards. So
you keeping up with the challenge. Like,
exactly. Because you've always... you know, I constantly get told if it was easy, you'd get bored. So you go out and you might not have the best day on the bike, and you're like, I'm so frustrated. But if it was easy, I'd get bored. There's always something to learn. So that's what I like about it the most. It's intellectual and you think about it so much, and I'm learning all the time.
Really focused, and that's exhausting, I guess, afterwards when you've had a really hard ride. Yeah,
it is. It's like physically exhausting and mentally exhausting, but that's where you get the most pleasure from life.
That's right,
you know, when you do things that physically and mentally exhaust you.
That's right.
It's great.
And you've won some events, some races. Tell us about.
So I did my first full year of the South Australian state titles in 2017. I finished third. That's probably been one of my best results to date. Then I went and I actually race in Victoria. I don't race in South Australia.
Why's that?
There's a larger group of women who race in Victoria. And so I finished I think it was the 2017 season, and it was great, and I really, really enjoyed it. I came third in the state title in South Australia. Yep. And then I thought, well, how do I get better at this? How do I better my racecraft and better being on the track with people around you and knowing how to race, because in South Australia there's not so many women who ride, so you don't end up with that many girls around you or that many bikes around you. So to have the experience of actually having people around you and people pushing you off the track and trying to get in front of you is really quite unique to somewhere like Victoria, the eastern states, who have a lot more competitive riders. So I thought, right, let's go to Victoria and give it a go. So I started racing. I did the Western Regions series for the first time in 2018, and the Victorian State Title series as well in 2018. So I pack up my ute on Friday night, drive to Victoria, race on the weekend, and drive back Sunday night and go to work on Monday. Yeah. And it is the best thing ever. It's absolutely amazing. I am such a better rider for it, and I've learned so much. I've met so many incredible people. Shout out to Kenny Watts, who was chatting to me on the way here, trying to calm me down because I was nervous.
Yes, and you were saying that. I think you were nervous about coming on today, and you sing in a band.
And, I know, it's ridiculous. But they have this amazing advocacy for women's racing over there, and the way that it's supported, and just the fact that there's so many girls there that do it. It's
there's
brilliant.
Not many women that do motocross.
In South Australia, the racing scene just isn't as strong.
No. Okay.
Yeah, so it's I just go over to get the numbers, and I race with the boys as well. So I race in the MX2 class, in the lights class with the 250 boys, which is so much fun. Yeah. It's so different. The ladies are quite polite comparatively, and the boys are just like, they don't care who you are. Just get out of the way. So it's great. It's really, really good.
Tell us about the different courses, like how do they work out, I guess, the standard or the level that you're competing on?
Yeah, so when I went across to Victoria for the first time, there's a club women level and there's an expert level. And you also sit at different levels, almost like football, I suppose. You have a club level that is on a weekend, and then you have sort of a higher level again, which is sort of regional, and then you've got a state level and a national level. So currently I'm actually racing as a women's expert at sort of like a regions level and also at a state title level. So after you get a certain result for a certain year, you are then promoted to essentially the next class up. So I finished 2018 in the Western Regions. I finished 5th, and so I was put up to ladies expert. And then last year I finished the Victorian state titles in a good enough placing to then get me to the expert class. So I race expert in both of those classes now.
So what are the tracks like? How are the tracks different?
They're really, really interesting. So you go all around the place. So this year we're going to be, anywhere from Horsham, that's my closest track essentially that we're going to be racing at, which is sort of completely different to somewhere like Rosebud. Which is going to be a state title track, which is just completely sand. And it also depends on how it forms up. So, if you've got a heap of rain in the week leading up to a race.
It doesn't matter what the weather is, that you still race.
Still go racing. So long as it's not deemed sort of too dangerous, or if there's a thunderstorm coming in, I'll generally call it because it's not ideal. But for instance, we did a Colac round a couple of years back, and it was crazy. There were puddles on the track in between motos because it was raining so hard. I remember counting because I was so mad. I fell over 18 times in that race. It was not ideal. And I took my race, like my motocross pants off, and my legs were black. I was soaked through. So they'll race in heat or rain. Or
So the level of difficulty, what determines that? Whether it's sand or whether it's
I guess it depends.
A surface where you normally go slower, but you have to speed on it, or how does that kind of...
I guess it depends what your aptitude is, So, like, for instance, in WA, so in Western Australia, a lot of their tracks are sandy. So those riders just grew up riding sand, and they know how to ride sand. And so it depends really where you're from and what tracks you have available to practice.
I guess it's a bit like tennis, where players are used to clay courts, for example.
Exactly right. It's exactly right.
Or the different surfaces.
Yeah, and I like, people have said to me before, I'll get there and I'll look at a track and I'll think, I'm not really sure. But essentially you're at a motocross track, you've got obstacles, you've got jumps, you've got turns. Everyone's riding the same track.
Yeah.
Just go out there and
Yeah.
do your best and do what you know how to do. Trust that you've done enough to then be able to go out there.
So what gives you
and
the
have a go.
experience, say, on a really sandy track?
Really sandy track.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when we're back here in SA, I go and ride sand tracks as much as I possibly can. I was out on Saturday training at a sand track. I'm going to the Australian Women's Nationals this year in Coolum in Queensland. So I went up there for the first time in 2018 for my first national with Dad, and I jumped in the ute and drove the whole way up to Coolum and whole way back again. It was great, but a really, really sandy track. So I'm spending a lot of time at sand tracks down here in South Australia to get used to that sand. And
So
to get
do
used
you
to that
speed
feel.
up in sand, or how do you know
So
how
it's
to
just
navigate?
yeah. I
Sand
guess
track?
with sand, you've got to stay on top of it. You've got
Yeah.
to sort of power through, because as soon as you slow down, you bog in and
Yeah.
you sort of end
Yeah.
up on the ground. But
It's stationary and
pretty much, you imagine it slows you
just,
down.
Yeah.
So-
just get bogged.
Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, so they're all really different, and it's great learning, because every time you go to a track, it's different and you learn so much.
And when it's wet and slippery and there's like puddles,
Yeah.
how do you? What's your mindset of thinking? process around
I think through. So generally, if you look at something, you'll sort of go there. That will be where you'll end up. So if I see something that's really not quite ideal on a track, I look through it. So I look past that point and
to get past that onto,
and to get past that obstacle and to get onto
Yeah.
something that you're a bit more comfortable on. So
and how long are the tracks like?
So the tracks are, I don't know, they'd sort of maybe be less than 2 kilometres in length,
Okay.
but we do a lap in, I don't know, anything between 2 to 3 minutes, pending to conditions and what it's like out there. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, high energy.
Yeah.
Very intense, I would imagine too, depending
Yeah.
on the weather. And hot weather, you ride the same.
You ride regardless.
Yeah,
Yep. So you ride in hot weather as well.
Yeah, and the clothing, is that the same every time?
Yep. So you go out in a jersey and pants, and
Yeah.
I wear a neck brace and helmet and bits and pieces. So yeah, you just make sure that you've got the highest quality protection that you can. So I run an M2R helmet. They're fantastic, and I run city boots. I've just started running them, and they are just the best. So I'm stoked with them. And you know that you're out there and you're doing something you love, but you're protected while you're doing it.
Yeah.
So-
And fitness, like you seem a very fit person.
Yeah. So I've recently taken on, as I said, Dean Ferris's motocross masterclass, and that's my quintessential how do you be a motocross rider, essentially. An athlete, and how you perform at a level, that Dean performs on internationally. So I then simulate that here with my training and my riding. So I've just signed up to CrossFit for something a little bit different, and I love it. It's great. It's really, really, it helps with all aspects of your fitness, and also flexibility as well, because the flexibility on the bike is really, really important.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to try and amp up that training coming into this season to make sure that I'm fit and I'm ready and I can last the motos, basically. So
What are your goals from now for motocross? Do you have thinking ahead of it?
Yeah, so I guess this year I'm going to finish off the Western Region series, and I'm also going to do the Victorian State titles, and I'm competing at an expert level now, so it's a bit different. It's a pretty it's still the same race, but I'm then categorised with different girls, so it's a different ballpark. And then I'm going to go and do the Australian Women's Motocross Championship, so we'll travel across to Maitland in New South Wales and Coolum in Queensland. And go and race them. I had a really good finish last year. I finished 9th overall in the championship for Australia, and I'd really, really like to better that. So we'll see how realistic that is, but we'll push forward, and it's still something to aspire to.
Yeah, you're still passionate about it.
I love it. Yeah, it's awesome, and also seeing young girls come up in it, and seeing young girls, but also women be motivated and empowered. I'm so empowered to be on my motorbike. That's why I'm out there doing it, because I'm doing something for me, and I've never relied on anybody else to do it.
Yeah.
Mum and dad and family are supportive, and they're wonderful. But I've always taken myself to the racetrack by myself. I'll go out by myself. It doesn't bother me at all, and I've always craved the independence of being able to load and unload my own bike, and to be able to I'm very impatient. I won't wait for someone to load my bike for me, so I'll go and do it myself, and I'll go racing.
Do it the way you want to do it.
And I'll do it exactly the way I want to do it, and learn it at my pace, and all of those all of those good things. But I think instilling the confidence in like other women to do the same thing. I get a lot of like through social media. I connect with a lot of women around the world, which is just amazing. Because they see that you ride dirt bikes, so you've instantly got something in common, and they'll flick you a message. So I chat to girls from all over the world, and you find out what their circumstances are, and you've just got so much in common because you just ride dirt bikes, and it's just amazing. And then being able to see the girls who have gone and had a baby and they come back and they're still racing motocross, and so it's for everyone. It's for absolutely
and I guess
everyone.
you don't lose those skills even if
Absolutely
you're
not.
At the higher levels you might take a bit longer to get back
just fitness and bits and pieces. So but it's for everyone, and women can get out there and do it too.
As same as the men, which is just fantastic.
It's awesome.
Fantastic speaking with you this afternoon. I'm so glad I've got you came in, Charlotte.
Thank you so much.
So Charlotte Burrell just been chatting, is passionate about motocross and making a career out of it too, by the sounds.
Yeah, I am. Can I possibly just finish by thanking the people who support me?
Yes.
Yeah, is that possible? I'm so thankful for the guys who get behind me. I've had massive support from Bridgeland Motorcycles in Murray Bridge. So Jack and Scott down there are just amazing. And Rapid MX who do my graphics. I've got Fly Racing Australia and M2R helmets and City Boots, Bridgestone tyres and DID chains, along with Castrol this year, all on board, and it makes my racing doable. Funnelweb Filter have been with me for a while, and they're just amazing people to deal with, and I love the product. ASV Inventions, Hammerhead Designs, and then I've got my moto seats are made by Moto Seat. Shane Boyd at Yamaha, Park for MX, always makes me feel welcome in Victoria. And Dean Ferris with the Motocross Masterclass is behind me for the training. So all together it comes into a big package and it all melds together.
And you've got a big year coming up. Fantastic. Great to have you in. Thanks, Charlotte.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Okay, that was really nice meeting Charlotte and hearing about her motocross. Fantastic example, I guess, of a young woman making it in a different sort of field of sport than most people think about. Okay, heading towards the end of my show, I've got a couple of tracks by John Primer coming up. Add a little touch and keep on loving the blues.